Our top story tonight, the prosecution's key witness on the stand for a second day in the trial of former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort. The defense drilling down on the secret life of Rick Gates. Joining us tonight, Judge Jeanine Pirro, host of Justice with Judge Jeanine on the Fox News Channel, author of the #1 New York Times bestselling book, Liars, Leakers, and Liberals, the case against the anti-Trump conspiracy. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Lou.
The Paul Manafort trial. Judge Ellis, who has been raising, I have to say, has been entertaining throughout, and even before the trial began. I mean, he is taking over that courtroom.
Well, you know, this is a judge who right from the get-go understood what the Manafort trial is about. The Manafort trial is about convicting Paul Manafort in an effort to then squeeze him to turn on Donald Trump. In the end, the jury will decide based upon the facts. But when you have a judge on the bench who even subliminally suggests that he is somewhat critical of the prosecution, in this case, Mueller, it feeds its way into the jury room. Make no mistake about that.
And the fact that the judge is being so directly critical of the Mueller prosecution team. I mean, he is wasting no words on this, saying point blank, get your act together. Treat the judge with respect. Attorneys rolling their eyes, attorneys for the prosecution, and not looking him in the eye when he is addressing them from the bench.
But you know what is amazing is that this is very much like what is going on across America. It's a microcosm where you have attorneys rolling their eyes, not making contact when the judge is talking to them. That tells me that they believe they have more power than everyone else. And they know that the law doesn't matter. That's what Mueller's team is all about. It's about corrupting Lady Justice. It's about making sure that they squeeze their guy to get him to say whatever they need him to say. And that's a sad commentary. And this judge is not going to take it. And let's hope the jury, you know, recognizes what's going on, because the prosecution's key witnesses. You've got the accountant, and now you've got Rick Gates, who got the plea deal. I mean, come on.
A plea deal, but also an admitted liar and an admitted criminal, embezzling, in effect, from Manafort himself and their firm.
And Rick Gates now is the guy who's going to come in and tell the jury, look, Manafort wanted fictitious loans to lower his tax bill. He was involved in not disclosing foreign accounts. And Manafort was the only one who had control over the accounts. When the Manafort defense team is saying, hey, wait a minute, Rick, you were the guy who was controlling the accounts. And by the way, I hate that an accountant says, I did something illegal because my client wanted me to. That's hogwash. Right off the bat, I say to myself, wait a minute, you're willing to lose your license because this guy told you to do something? Everybody's being squeezed here.
Either because this guy told her to do something, or because the special counsel said, we're going to either take it easy on you, or we're going to make it very hard for you. I mean, he has immense power here, right?
Tremendous power. I mean, everyone is looking to protect themselves. These people don't want to go to jail forever. I mean, now you've got Rick Gates, who's got a secret life, a second life, a Gumad too, and also, you know, it's like the whole gang of them. I mean.
And a lot of explaining to do, obviously, beyond the special counsel and the prosecution. Manafort is now, imagine this, facing 305 years in prison. The judge, it seems to me, would be within his rights to say to the prosecution, are you out of your mind? What in the world kind of person are you to even think of bringing those kinds of charges?
You know what's interesting? Now that Manafort, he's 70 years old, he's in solitary confinement 23 hours a day, while all the other bozos are walking around that we have seen them actually commit crimes like lying to Congress. But, you know, when at the end of every case, prosecution case, or at the end of a defense case, I should say, the judge has the authority to say that the facts do not support the prosecution's case. I'm going to dismiss this. Now, will the judge do that? Probably not. There is evidence here, certainly, to go to the jury. But the judge, if he has a sense, and he's a federal judge, they have a lifelong they're on the bench for life. Nobody can take it away from them.
This judge, senior status, as they say, he is 78 years old. he is not, he's obviously never been anyone's either fool, nor has he sought favor, and he sure as heck isn't afraid. I just wonder, as you were saying that, whether or not Judge T.S. Eliot is, in fact, laying a foundation for something very similar to that when he's talking about the very high bar for conspiracy here, which is the charge. He's at the very least sending a very strong signal to that jury when he says these people had to get Gates on the stand, even as they were being ambivalent about it. He made up their mind for them in a hurry. And we're also seeing, I think, Judge, some sign that Gates is not quite the witness that I'm sure Bob Mueller wanted.
Well, clearly, look, when you've got excellent attorneys on the side of Paul Manafort, the guy is a pit bull. You know, when you do a great cross-examination and then the jury starts to say to themselves, gee, you know, he's not as bad as we thought. Is this guy the one who's guilty? Well, actually, he already pled guilty. And then Gates says, I accepted responsibility. I pled guilty. That's hogwash, too, and I'll tell you why. Because he got the plea deal. Paul Manafort did not get a plea deal. All he got was 320 years. You implicate the president or you're going down.
I want to turn very quickly to Giuliani. The Trump legal team drafting a letter. We thought we might even hear about it today, that letter might be sent to Bob Mueller. Giuliani talking about their reluctance to be questioned about obstruction. This is a little bit of a change in the tone because Giuliani had earlier said there will be no discussion of obstruction whatsoever to, you know, we're reluctant. Mm-hmm. What's going on?
I think what's going on is we all know Donald Trump. All right. Donald Trump, the president, and Donald Trump, the man, is a guy who wants to go out and say, I didn't do anything. And so I suspect that there's some pushback where the president's saying, I'll talk to anybody. And then the legal team is saying, are you out of your mind? These people are looking to hang you upside down in the village square.
Yeah, he wants to have his say. I think as much he'd also like to knock a few heads together out there in that.
Well, you know, you can't blame him. I mean, this is a made-up Russia collusion delusion. And, you know, we just find out now that Bruce Orr is dealing with Christopher Steele after Christopher Steele was fired by the FBI. The DOJ is getting information from him. I mean, this is corruption at its core. You want to talk conspiracy? We can talk conspiracy.
Yeah, that doesn't even include Nellie Orr, his wife, Bruce Orr's wife, working for Fusion GPS, working with Christopher Steele, the former MI6 spy.
Terrible stuff.
As the saying goes, you can't make any of this up except the very charges with which they created a special counsel. That's the only part that was fantasy. Judge, great to have you here. Thanks so much.